Fuck it, I'm just gonna start reading. The beauty standard is an incubus, siphoning your life force into vitalizing the patriarchy. Anytime that you look in the mirror and you're displeased with what you see, it's someone else's eyes that you're seeing your body with. It is the internalized male surveyor that you cannot tell apart from your own self, and all you are to him is a sexual object. Sexual object. A half-truth is even more dangerous than a lie. Wanting beauty in any form is essential to the human experience. Beauty is natural, and we have an inherent right to it. We have a right to want to look beautiful and feel beautiful and exist in beautiful spaces and feel beautiful feelings while hearing beautiful sounds. The universe craves to experience beauty through our unique perceptions, each human life a kaleidoscope through which the universe can gaze, the depth of one's openness congruent to the vibrancy of one's experience. Human lives are dazzling scenes of enchantment and love. Beauty is a fractal of God. This is why it's dangerous to misconstrue true beauty with whatever the actual fuck culture is calling beauty these days. In the ego-driven commotion of America becoming a world power, Western society has turned beauty into something malevolent and profitable. The aim for beauty exists in a woman's psyche, like a cage of shame, shrouded in a disorienting pathos of beauty worship in pop culture. The male gaze is the lens through which everything we experience in society is filtered. There are situational exceptions, of course, but all of life in American society is, at the very least, primed with the male gaze. Psychologists and philosophers that we study in college are men. The recorders and writers of historic accounts are men. The groups of people upon whom most of the scientific studies were conducted were all men. In turn, the medical scales for portions and medication, other things like that, are for men. Most TV shows are directed and produced by men. Most movies are directed and produced by men. Most media is the male gaze embodied. You can see who directed and produced something, and it's 9 times out of 10 going to be a man. Historically, women have been oppressed and their vantage points have been eradicated. There has been no possible way for women to give their perspective or to impact culture, until now, of course, but the male gaze will always be what our culture is based on. The beauty standard and the male gaze are mutually inclusive. The beauty standard has been crafted by men in their general sexual preference. Catering to this male-crafted standard has become the unconscious center of feminine striving because of how we have been conditioned by society. The center of attention in so many women's lives are men. Where we place our attention, we place our energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. Pardoname. AKA, our life force is being sucked by the incubus that is the beauty standard. Finding my tea. Every advertisement encourages us to look younger, more hairless, more sexy. Each female main character in films is a sex symbol or a manic pixie dream girl, unless it's a Greta Gerwig film. Mainstream songs sexualize women and define their worth as their ability to give good head. This is how women's minds are conditioned. It's our inescapable reality everywhere we turn. It is all a distraction to keep us from connecting with our true personal power. The beauty standard is also harmful to men. Real men don't value the same things the beauty standard values, but if they do, they too are existing from the lens of this internalized artificial male as opposed to from their true self. They too are detached from their power and would start to choose partners based on how good that partner looks to society and to the standard, as opposed to a partner that's nourishing to their soul, their sweet precious baby angel boy soul. The standard only benefits regimes. Some descriptors of a woman that fits into the modern-day American beauty standard include the following. And the following became a poem, unintentionally. Big tits, big ass, small nose, big lips, big eyes, high cheekbones, nice skin, nice teeth, lots of hair, blonde, black, or brown, but she's hairless from the lashes down, feminine hands, feminine feet, symmetry in all areas, smallness in most areas, fullness in some areas, certainly no largeness, except largeness in the ass, of course, but the moment something begins to wrinkle, sink, or sag, definitely feel remorse. Drooping is not beautiful. Being impacted by gravity in any way is not beautiful. Transcend gravity. Your tits should get higher the older you get. You should become less hairy every day. Your body is not something to listen to or respect. It is something to chip away at and keep under wraps. Be in absolute total control of it. Monitor every square centimeter of it at all times of all days with no exceptions and absolutely no smells. The only acceptable smells are soapy and soapy adjacent. Hair, aging, noises, and smells are reserved for boys' bodies. In boys, these aspects are perfectly acceptable and in no way repulsive, but for no reason biological and in every way cultural. Damn. It's like a wrap. Many pop culture icons are walking, talking, breathing silicone implants and filler casings. Their faces only contain a faint shadow of how they would naturally look. They act in perfect accordance with what is deemed beautiful and desirable by the standard. When trends change, their bodies change. Plastic surgery is pseudo-beauty. The rhetoric of acceptance around plastic surgery is just a message telling every little girl that has a resemblance to any before feature that someone altered through plastic surgery that she too should feel insecure about this part of herself. She should feel ashamed and she should change it. Plastic surgery keeps female shame at an all-time high. Women that are ashamed are quiet and easily manipulated. Shame is a mechanism of control. This design is intentional and sinister. In aloneness, we as women, we know the internal pain that comes from trying to live up to the artificial image. We know the debilitation of insecurities. We know the deep, profound sadness of feeling ugly. And still, despite what we all know, women still idolize the women who are upstanding pillars of the patriarchy. This is how deep the brainwashing goes. A quick little side note, all actions are either an act of love or a call for love, from love or for love. If you're doing an action from a place of wholeness, as in you feel worthy and complete and whole already, you are doing it from love. If you are doing the action in an attempt at gaining worthiness from an external source, you are doing it for love. Spending energy deciding what to wear, how to do our hair, how to accessorize, it can all be done from love when done with intention. But in order for this to be done intentionally, one must have done the work, done the dismantling, done the unlearning. And once that work is done, the getting ready manifests itself differently. It becomes an expression as opposed to concealment or suppression. With that said, women spend an excessive amount of bandwidth in the pursuit of looking good. Think of how much money is spent in the pursuit of the male-crafted image of desirous perfection. Every dollar spent on anti-aging, skinniness, nails, toes, shaving, waxing, whitening, bleaching, tanning, fillers, hair appointments, lash appointments, it's all money donated to the patriarchy. If you exist in the energetic state of truly believing that you are beautiful and enough just as you are now in this moment, how much of that would you stop striving for? You would start becoming much more muchier in many other areas of your life because you have more energy, more money, and more time to do so. Also, manifestation hack. You have to be in this energetic state to manifest desires anyway. Life is most fun, and you are closest to God when you exist in a state of uninhibited expression, to feel the pleasure of existing, unburdened with thought about how you're being perceived. When you are in this energy, you become extremely magnetic, but it is not easy. And now we get into the deep, gnarled roots. The root. Uninhibited expression can only come from someone who is not afraid to be vulnerable. One can only be vulnerable when they are made to feel safe and accepted. In society, being the beautiful girl is much more accepted than being the ugly girl or even the average girl. The split in treatment is obvious. People in public are much sweeter to pretty girls. Pretty girls will have favors done for them and doors held. Pretty girls will be drowned in compliments from elders and praise from strangers. Pretty girls will move through college and job interviews with ease. Pretty girls don't have problems making friends because everyone wants to be associated with pretty girls because they have automatic status in society. Boys aren't brash and mean around the pretty girls because they're intimidated by them and also because they want to sleep with them. A pretty girl has been given the privilege of believing in herself because society has been telling her that she is valuable since childhood. This is pretty privilege. This is what makes the beauty standard so alluring to women. Deciding to alter ourselves to fit the standard gives us better treatment, which in turn makes us feel better emotionally and mentally. Not to mention, equates to far more economic and social opportunities. Because in our society, a girl's value is directly proportional to her beauty. Because of the way we're all conditioned to see women. Because women keep playing along and keep idolizing the ones that play along the best. It is a positive feedback loop, and it is oppression. The only way to break this cycle is for women to stop participating. Compliance with the standard oppresses women who do not and cannot fit within its parameters. It is a racist, patriarchal, oppressive system. It is active oppression of women. But don't get it twisted. Even the pretty girls lose in the end. Attractive women are forced to reckon with their worth and value once they age out of being deemed attractive. No matter how stunning you are, there will always be a prettier, younger girl out there. Each day you age, you get uglier in the eyes of the standard. There will always be a new product that will fix a new beauty issue that you didn't even know you had. It's an unending loop of mind fucks, convincing you to purchase more and do more always. A masquerade of smoke and mirrors to keep your attention focused on the singular problem of beauty when we could be spending our attention solving much more pressing actual problems and living lives that we actually live, that we actually love. The cage. The design of this cage is brilliant. The game is unbeatable, rigged against us. Our time, money, and attention is robbed from us. Our lives are robbed from us, and so many women do not ever have the privilege of slowing down and realizing this fact. Women are encouraged in every way to never slow down and to never realize this fact. Only the woman who is a guardian of her life energy, who makes herself aware of what is happening and decides against all odds to love herself and recenter her life, will win the game. If women were to entirely stop participating in the beauty standard and decentering men, what would this look like? Firstly, our egos would take major hits. Our ego's job is to stay intact and in the driver's seat of our lives, so the process of decentering men and the male gaze will feel quite shocking. The identity that we're deeply attached to since birth would have to die, but in its place will be born a woman who is not a puppet of anyone else's corrupt agenda. In the place of this artificial identity will be a woman who lives in accordance with her own personal standard of beauty, one that is based on how healthy and vibrant she feels. A woman's perception of even herself is muddied with the male gaze. We have been so conditioned with all of the male-created media and curriculum that each of us has developed an internal surveyor that has the lens of a man. When we are in the gym, we are aware of what our actions look like to a man. It is why we don't let our stomachs relax and expand when we're in crop tops and why we're worried about sweat stains. Even though actual men don't care about this shit, it's just the standard that has us convinced that they do. We're not existing from the organic animation of our spirit. We're existing from the animatronics of this internalized patriarchal engineer. Even when we're alone with ourselves, the surveyor remains with his eyes on us. Sitting naked in front of the mirror, alone, the voice of the internal surveyor can still become so mean and loud until we denounce it. Our bodies exist for us to have experiences with, not to be appealing to a male fantasy. Anytime this mean internal voice speaks, it must be ignored and overridden with your voice that loves yourself and your body like a mother or a sister or a friend, overridden with the deep truth that our body is our vessel for our consciousness, and it's the most beautiful gift from the universe. Overriding the voice is a daily action. It takes daily and constant essential effort. Essential because if you cannot discern between society's voice and your own, you're nothing but a pawn, complacent in your own sexualization and energetic exploitation. Decentering men looks like drawing our attention back into our bodies and living as the perceiver and experiencer of our lives, not as being perceived. Don't worry though, you can decenter men and you can still be super hot. Here's how. Psychology 101, okay? People are drawn like a magnet to people that love themselves. When a woman is confident and present in her body, she's vibrating at the most attractive frequency possible, okay? A woman that doesn't have time to slow down and look at her conditioning, looking at how it's shaped her identity and her personality, may spend her whole life thinking she's unattractive, but it's not true. Because of her early relationship to beauty, how society treats the pretty girls, if she didn't grow up with that treatment, she doesn't act like a pretty girl society would act. She has no choice but to act like she was conditioned to act in childhood. She's not confident. She's not sure of herself. She's closed off in an effort to protect herself. This identification with being unattractive is what makes her unattractive. Self-concept is everything. It's the way we act that dictates how life acts towards us, not how we look. How open we are to life is how open life is to us. This is the secret that the beauty standard keeps from us. The beauty standard blinds us from our inner power and cloaks the power and tells us that we don't possess it, but we do. So stop subscribing to the beauty standard, but keep acting like you are the most glowing, beautiful, powerful goddess to ever grace the planet. You can pull any man you want. Walk in with the knowledge that you were divinely created with divine design. Start making health and happiness the center of your life, not men, not beauty. When you like you, everyone will like you, and the ones that don't matter anyway because you genuinely like yourself and they have poor taste. You begin to attract situations and people that are nourishing to your truest self. By opting out of centering men and the beauty standard, you opt in to a life of loving yourself with ease. You look like you. How perfect is that? You are perfectly created to attract what you're supposed to attract. God is very talented like that. With years of work now, anytime I look in the mirror, I get genuinely happy because I look like me. And that's perfect to me.